on, everyone? Welcome to another Subi Shaves video with me on a beautiful day. Hashtag Team All Blade and hashtag No Blade Left Behind. Come on in, throw me a Subi smile, and all I gotta say is squad goals. Thank you for being here, for clicking into our video, and for joining me. Hopefully, wherever you're watching from, as usual, you're watching with a cold drink in your hand, you're sitting in a comfy chair, and you're ready for a shave. I know I could use one. I have just over 4 days of growth, and we're gonna be shaving it off, talking about some of the just barely released gear over at Team Yaqi. Grace herself sent this, and I'm so thankful. We're going to be talking a little bit about the Castor specifically, but I also want to dive in and really talk about the full lineup that they are releasing for summer 2025. These are fully polished stainless steel 316 razors, and she sent us all three of them to demo and to kind of discuss over the next couple of weeks as the summer kind of warms up and continues to go on. Again, we've got the Castor, the Pilot, and the Thot. And for everybody out there that's like, the Thot maybe isn't the greatest name, I cannot wait to talk a little bit about this razor in more depth, because so many people are laughing about the name. Apparently it means like promiscuous lady. Apparently in some slang languages. But for today, I'm really excited because I want to go kind of in discussion and in more depth and detail on this absolutely gorgeous two-piece. It is like standard a DE two-piece razor, right? That kind of mimics the Merkur razor as far as the way it assembles, but it actually is based upon, it pays tribute to the Solinger razors that were produced by Henkel's, right? The Henkel Soligen razor, and this is the Henso. I'm really excited to talk about that. Again, this is the Castor paying tribute to the Henso razor. This was actually Miss Emiliano's DE razors and more, that kind of collaboration. I guess he reached out, said he wanted to see them produce something like this. And the other two razors, the Pilot and the Thot, said these are razors I want to see you guys kind of reproduce. And so this is actually something we would not have without his recommendation. So huge shout out and massive thanks to DE razors and beyond, Miss Emiliano, for the recommendation, for pushing the idea to have them do these. Really excited because overall, the Solinger razor, right, is hard to get your hands on. It's a razor that has problems like, when you find the vintage ones, because they are made of different materials that didn't quite, they didn't last the test of time, right? The ZMAT quality. So the problem is if you want one of these that shaves really, really well, that's hard to find, except for now it's not, right? It's really cool. I'm super excited. I was playing through my mind all the different ways I wanted to do this, and I'm so excited to have the chance to do this with you today on channel. Again, huge shout out and massive thanks to Grace for including us in this recent release. I don't want to dive too far into like the software today. I want to make this more just about what's coming out, what Grace has done just recently, and make this more about a discussion of, what's available on their website. But I will be using Doppelganger Gray from Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements. This is a Ventus type like tribute scent, right? This is their take on Ventus by Creed. I really, really like this. It smells very true to the actual original, but in my opinion, because it's a shave product, right, you get a little bit more longevity when you're stacking the product. In my opinion, I noticed when I put this on top of the actual frag, you get some complexities, you get some densities as far as like the projection goes. And I really, really like being able to have that scent just go playing, across the entire, not just the cologne, if that makes sense. I like it playing through the lather, through the soap. It's on your skin, there's just several different ways, and it seems to wear better that way. The lather, phenomenal, as usual. And again, I did this with Yachi's, one of their brand new, just barely release brushes that I really like. That twist is really cool, really comfortable in the hand. Again, if you're watching this for like maybe the first time, or this is the first time you've seen our channel, I just wanted to talk a little bit about like, Grace's products that they've been sending us, and a little bit about the performances and some of the options that I have just fallen in love with. First and foremost, the thing that I think most people expect when they're jumping over to AliExpress is the quality going to be as good as, if I go somewhere else. And I feel stronger. I'm the same way. When I go over, am I going to get a Temu level product? Let me tell you something. They've gone so far above and beyond with these razors that it's not even in the same category as like even a standard razor. At this point, in my opinion, they've gone to the premium level level, if not exceeded it. Look at the polish here. It's exquisite. It's perfect. There's absolutely no issues whatsoever. It's flawless. There's no burrs. There's no, dings. There's no little points on the surface that are going to bother your skin. They are smooth as glass. And this is not just a fluke, right? They've been doing this with a bunch of different razors that are actual releases of vintage razors that they're like kind of modernizing in stainless steel. They're taking razors that you can no longer purchase or find, or if you do, they're extremely expensive and don't work, right? Or maybe you find this perfect one and you don't want to use it because it's from the 20s and you're like, oh man, I just feel really bad, even getting water on it. So they are taking those kind of razors and they're making them daily drivers. The diagonal, if you're over on the Yachi's website, jump over, take a look. The diagonal is one of those ones that is a true standout in my opinion with the quality. You can see even diagonal written down on the bottom piece here. Every little detail is just is really, really nice. It's done up to the top tier, and I just really like the diagonal because I feel like the grip on it, the knurling and everything is done really, really, really well. Can we just talk about the Cerberus? Take a look at this handle. Look at the handle here. Probably one of the absolute single greatest handles I have ever seen in my life. Look at the twist on this, and it's perfectly mirror polished. Again, these are all razors that, in my opinion, would be, anywhere else would cost upwards of several $100s, and you're getting them usually for under $100, if not just right at the $100 range. Full stainless steel mirror polish, absolutely premium. And I'm telling you this, they shave as good as they look. Love the Cerberus. If you're looking for an adjustable, right, you can jump over and their tribute to the Homelike, the slant. Look, it's all stainless steel. It's gorgeous. Another one that I just absolutely love. And then, kind of diving into the crowd favorite, right? The Merkur Progress version by Yaqi in full stainless steel, polished, right? These are razors that, I'm telling you this, the other manufacturers have not made them stainless steel, in my opinion, because it's so hard to do. They're not like, they're going to chase the effort and go after it, right? They've proven over and over and over again. Merkur's like, yeah, not for us. We're not going to go stainless steel. Grace and their team are CNC manufacturing in 316 stainless, polished to the absolutely perfect level surface, and they're getting it at a really reasonable price. And I can't stress that enough, because the Solingen razor, right, the Henkel Solingen razor, this razor right here is extremely expensive to find. The head is Z-Max, so you cannot replate them, and usually when you find them, this is a tube, right? So you have a secondary screw knob that goes in and tightens to the head cap, and what happens is this right here, it will crack down the center of it on the old vintage ones because they're made of like brass and Z-Mac. This will actually crack, you'll lose tension, and you will not be able to replate because of the Z-Mac head. You'll see them, they've rusted or rotted, and they've fallen apart. And it's really sad because it's a beautiful razor that Henkel's kind of tweaked and designed after Merkur. And I really like that design. Now, I want to call this out. They mentioned on there that it was a 1920s razor. I actually believe the razor that the Henso follows is more of like a 3040s razor and was made into the 50s. It's kind of historically, a gray area, but I believe it's actually more of a 30s, 40s razor. What's really cool about the Henso razor, right, is Hen, it stands for Henkel's, and So was Solingen. So it's actually a combination between the two names. Hen, So, you got the Henkel's, Solingen, and then this is in my opinion, one of those like almost hybrid bars. It's not open comb, but you can see how deep these teeth are. You see how grooved and how tall and steep they are. They produce a ton of flow. They don't have any problems so far, at least on my face. Didn't have any problems with clogging. But why I really like it is because I feel like it adds a little bit of performance, almost like an open comb. Gives you a little bit more skin fill as far as the blade goes, but then you get the protection of that flat bar. What a beauty. Seriously, I was like, I know this is going to take a while, and I didn't want to dive into the software and everything because I was so impressed with how beautiful their brand new 2025 summer razors are. The Pilot razor is one of those ones I actually was kind of like shocked by, to be really perfectly honest. This is a stainless steel Merkur, from what I can tell, head. kind of like the DE89. Interesting. It's like one of those entry-level heads in stainless steel with a very beautiful, extremely well-knurled handle that I cannot wait to use. And then the Thot razor, right? The Thot razor. This one is actually an Italian razor. The Funko brand is the one that designed the razor. It was done in the 40s. I'm really excited about this because Italian razors are known and through by the whole community as being known for being very efficient, right? More efficient than they let on from appearance. I've heard from a few friends of mine that have used this recently. It's efficient and aggressive. Going kind of into prices, this is $89-ish, 88-ish gram, and 45 gap razor. The other ones are sitting right at about $100. And I just want to mention that because it's changing every single day. We're going to start some shaving here to see how well it does. See, I just want to show you guys how awesome it is on 4 days of growth. But I can tell you this much, at $180, 89 bucks, I think this razor really fits in well with their lineup. This is not a mild razor. And I want to mention that because I have heard from a few of my friends that reached for it that said they went into it thinking it was going to be really mild. This razor, historically, I have heard was actually a fairly tame. I've not used a Henso, the original, but I've heard it's pretty tame. I think what has happened is over the years, as they've kind of, changed as far as performance goes, as they've tolerances and have like kind of adjusted, as it's aged. I think you can kind of get different versions of the Henso at this point, just because, you never know how that is held up over the years. You may get some blade warp, some tray warp, the actual clamping mechanism may not be as good. Well, this is not the case on this razor, right? It's full stainless steel. That weight really amps things up. And then you're also getting just a slight additional, from what I understand, is gap has been slightly modified, just ever slightly, to incorporate a little bit more performance. Look at this. I had one friend said the head cap was a little different. They were doing a side by side, and he said that the head cap with the Henso is just barely different enough where he thinks that that's part of the reason why it's so efficient. You saw that, right? Really, really, really close shaving. Very, very, very smooth razor. But I would say it's up there as probably a 5 or 6 out of 10 as far as blade feel goes. And I want to mention that because there's people out there that have been reaching for the Yaqi razors because they're very mild typically. And I feel like this razor falls in the more upper end of like efficiency. I had no problem knocking down 4 days on my face with one pass, being completely BBS with no irritation, no problems. But that is, I didn't have to fight it. You know what I mean? I didn't have to like press the razor down at all. It's very smooth. It's not tuggy at all. And I'm really, really liking that hybrid bar. It lets your skin fill. Oh my goodness, it really lets it fill where that blade's sitting. Take a look what's scrubbing off my head here. Yeah, you can feel where that blade is because of that hybrid bar. You absolutely know every inch of where that blade's sitting, and right at the sweet spot, as you would say it, right? Kind of like when you're hitting a baseball. If you hit the ball anywhere else on the bat other than the sweet spot, you kind of feel it. But right when you get that to the sweet spot, oh yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. Really comfortable, really easy, really efficient. Throwing lather everywhere. Wow, what a shaver. Definitely something I did not expect when I picked this up this morning, right? I thought to myself, this is gonna be really, really mild. I thought with the gap there, right, that you would have, like, it's only 45 gap. So I thought you wouldn't have that much performance. Boy, never, ever, ever underestimate a razor based on its gap. I can tell you this much, at 0.45, I am getting a close, very efficient shave that definitely, I am, I don't want to say like scared of, but I am weary of, right? I know where that blade is, and I am going to take my time. Oh boy, it is really nice. It's kind of cool to see Grace offering a couple other options for anybody out there that's looking for something, that's not just super mild. I think that this could fulfill some of that desire. It has a very vintage feel to it. I love that you still get that vintage vibe, right? Something that feels like its predecessor. Something that says, oh, yeah, oh, wow, yeah. I like that a lot. Yeah, that's not bad at all. It definitely is not something I would probably recommend for like an inexperienced shaver. Somebody that's coming from a cartridge probably wouldn't like this because it is so different from that feel, right? A cart fill and this feels very different. I'm actually riding the razor very steep on the back of my head. I noticed when I was running it really shallow, I was having a hard time finding the blade. But as soon as I make that razor go a little steeper, right? So I'm running it like at a, it's like a 45-degree angle to be perfect. It seems like it's really steep on the back of my head. But as soon as I go to that steeper angle, it's really smooth. It's really easy to find the blade. And it's really easy, to take off all 4 days. Oh my goodness, that right there is where it is at. That is what's about. That is awesome. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. Again, I don't think that this one is, going to mass appeal to every person out there. And I think that's okay. I think it's a really fun razor to kind of pick up if you're a wet shaver that has a bunch of different options. It's still a fun razor to use because it kind of takes you back. It lets you experience that Soligen style. Like, it feels really great in the hand. If anything, I do believe that the razor could have slightly, I would have liked to see more of the knurling, like the diagonal. I think if they had gone with a more knurled handle, it would have been a little bit more like comfortable as far as like actual ergonomics. I think ergonomics is the only place the razor really suffers. If they'd done like more of the knurling as far as like this goes on the entire razor, like the whole thing, I think that would have been more comfortable as far as like, the slipperiness of the razor. It's surprising this actually doesn't add too much to the grip. I don't think it's quite deep enough to really elevate the grip like the diagonal. When you reach for the diagonal, this razor feels grippy as heck in your hand, and it has that same two-piece. So I think they could have done it. I think they're trying to make it so that every one of them is unique, and I think that's fine. I just feel like you're almost kind of losing some of the actual grippiness to the razor. Other than that, it was really easy, very, very fun, very smooth, but slightly blade forward razor. I liked that they actually stayed true to that nature of the vintage razor, right? Actually having a little bit of blade fill to it, actually having some oomph, right? It has some oomph. That was absolutely beyond words fun to do and to try and to experience. Massive thanks to Grace and for their team for including us in the release of their most interesting, most recent summer razors. I think there's something that people out there are going to really enjoy, and I think it's going to make for the summer to be unique and just interesting, right? Not all razors have to fall into the same like mass appeal. And I think that's totally fine. I really like that this is something that's different, right? It's a very different, very interesting, unique razor. And I like that. I think it's fun. It has a lot of character. It has a lot of personality. And it's even to the skin feels different than most of the razors I've experienced from Yaqi. And I think that just means that it's worth, if you're interested in the razor, it means it's worth getting because, right, it's going to be something different than other ones you're going to experience. I can tell you that much. Having tried a bunch of their products, it's quite different. It actually packed some punch. I've heard that Thot razor is even more efficient. So I'm definitely a little curious to see how that one does. You can see, it's super close, super smooth, and it is a very, very, as you would quintessentially, BBS. Yeah, just to the ground. Oh my goodness. What a beautiful, absolutely wonderful, incredibly close, very comfortable shave. I'm really excited to see how that does for the rest of the day. You know what I mean? I kind of see how long that BBS lasts for because it feels like it shaved me close. Like I noticed on the back of my head, I was like, that's shaving very, very, very efficiently. I could tell. I had patches on my head where I could feel that stubble had just been completely obliterated. Really cool, really beautiful razor. Great lineup from Grace over at Yaqi. If you haven't, run over to their website, take a look. Again, those I mentioned some of my favorites. These are also going to be on there. And right now, from what I understand, they're going to be going up for a discount here really shortly. If the discount's still going, it may be going by the time I get this up and reviewed live. So really, really cool. Always a product that's at the best price, and I really appreciate that about them. Thanks again so much for being here. I hope the review was helpful and interesting and informative, and until I see you guys for our next one, I'll see you in the comment section below soon.